Good evening. My name is Johnson Nguyen. About 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with epilepsy and would have countless partial seizures that would affect my right leg. I remember my right leg would twitch and I would feel an aura going through it before the seizure started. Once it began, however, my right leg would tense up and start shaking for about a minute or so. This would go on incessantly throughout the day with about 10 to 15 seizures every day on average. The worst part was how unpredictable it was. It made me very anxious because I could be walking at one moment and then at the next moment I would have already fallen for my next seizure, possibly injuring myself. As a result of epilepsy, my social life was a total mess. It was difficult for me to relate and participate with others of my age because of my epilepsy. I would always feel embarrassed talking about my disorder to others, but even worse was when I had a seizure in public. I hated the stares that I would get from other people during one of my seizures. Epilepsy made me feel as though I was an outcast. The closest and only friend I had during my time with it was my middle school's nurse. It eventually began to dominate every aspect of my life, and I found myself spending more of my time either in the nurse's office or staying at home, rather than in school or with classmates. After numerous medication changes, hospitalizations, and even a temporary change in neurologist from my first and current one, Dr. Arthur Partikian, it seemed as though I was going to have to live the rest of my life with epilepsy. My future had seemed so bleak. Am I even going to be able to get through the rest of middle school, let alone high school or college? Will I be able to live a productive, worthwhile, and independent life? After many attempts at treating my disorder, Dr. Partikian recommended brain surgery. The words brain surgery are not normally two words a 12-year-old would want to hear, especially when you're talking to a doctor and they're using those words to describe you. But with my seizures uncontrolled, I agreed to the surgery. It was essentially a double-edged sword. The surgery would most likely stop my seizures, but leave the majority of my right leg paralyzed. Well, I am here today to say that the surgery was a success. However, I have been seizure-free since November 2009. As expected, though, my right leg was paralyzed after the surgery. However, after much rehabilitation and therapy, I was able to gain back most of the movement in my right leg. It is still paralyzed from around the ankle and below. However, it is merely a small price to pay to stop my seizures. I can say that the effect my paralysis has to my life is of much less significance and suffering than that of my previous disorder. A lot has passed since I had my last seizure. I've graduated from middle and high school and am now attending UCLA. I have since made myself countless amounts of friends, some of whom are here to support me during my big night. Now free from epilepsy, I can say for sure that I have been able to live a productive, worthwhile, and independent life. Of course, I wasn't alone during my bouts with epilepsy. I would like to thank my neurologist, Dr. Partikian, for his utmost care in treating my epilepsy. And my surgeon, Dr. Gary Mathern, for successfully performing the life-changing surgery. Last but not least, I would like to wholeheartedly thank my parents for always being by my side during my bout with epilepsy. I remember how my mom would be the one to accompany me during those long and tedious hospital appointments, and how my dad would sleep right by my side during the night, sacrificing his sleep to tend to any nighttime seizures I had. During hospitalizations, my parents would take turns to take care of me. My mom, who was with me during the day, would tag in my dad come nighttime, and the two kept at it until I was finally back home with them. And with that, Thank you for everything, Mom and Dad.